So the next key element is don't be just focused on your machine, although this is your value creation process. I mean, on the machine you earn your money, right? Every moment you drill a hole in your product, that is a hole that the customer wants and that's making more value in the product. So this is the only moment where your existence is depending on making those conversions. But it's not only the one conversion, it's a complete chain of conversions, and that has to work together. And here is the difficulty. So the mechanical engineer is focused on this specific part of the machine. He's optimizing that, forgetting maybe that it is depending in a broader sense. So the fourth key is creating flow. And this, for many organizations, is a huge problem. Because now I have to cross all the disciplines in the company. I have to bring them together. I have to make a communication over the walls. So how are we organized? Sales department, engineering department, purchasing department, production guys, and so on. So we organize them literally in different buildings. And the flow is actually going square through those organizations. And many companies, that has become real organizations. So if I'm measuring OEE and I find out that there is a problem with some supplier where the specifications don't meet, I go to the purchaser. And the purchaser then tells me, listen, I got 2 cents. What is the smallest entity in the round?
1 cent.
How much?
1 cent.
Also a cent, okay. So I got 1 cent of cheaper product, and I have a bonus for that. Now I can fly to Mauritius for a nice holiday because I saved a lot of money for the company. I'm rewarded for that. Now the operator says, yeah, thank you very much, but I'm losing 10,000 rands every day because this product gets stuck in the machine because the machine was not taking care of this specification that you are now bringing in. So this is actually what happens. So many things that looks to be very sane to do are actually insane because they are creating no flow. They're breaking the flow. So every time where you have stock, that means you're not having flow, because stock is an absolute identifier for products that are stuck. I'll bring you back to this magnificent machine, this airplane at Boeing. Their true north since 20 years is we want every part and every product and everything we do, we want them to flow into the direction of the customer. Anytime I come into my factory, I want to see everything moving into the direction of the customer. 367,000 parts should never lie down. They should constantly be moving into the direction of the customer, because the customer is the one we're doing it for. He's the only one that brings back the money. The others are taking the money. The customer is the only one that brings back money. Don't say the bank, because the bank is robbing you all the time, even if they bring money. Steal it back later. Okay? So the customer is the only one who is bringing money. And that's why their true north is we want to have everything in flow. So the consequence of that is we don't want to have dinosaurs. We don't want these huge installations that can do 10,000 things because the product is waiting all the time to go into this dinosaur. No, they want to have quick, swift actions and moving the product. So the product can lie down, but only for seconds or minutes. So they don't bring in 10,000 engines. The engines come in one by one, actually 2 by 2 if it's for a 2-engine plane. And they are flowing. And they're literally flowing because they put them on a cart and you can just walk with a 7-ton or whatever weight engine around the factory. And so this is a vision, and this is actually brought to this point. So I told you that it's having consequences, right? If you put this in your true north, you have to take it literally. So how are airplanes being built? Anybody experienced with airplane building? No. So and the traditional way of building an airplane is, and that was how cars were built before Ford. You start with a frame and you put all parts on it. And at some point there is an airplane and you drive it out of track. So this is an instant it's been built. But if your statement is I want everything to move into the direction of the customer, you can't work like that. So Boeing designed the first and only pulled line in the airplane industry. So they pull the aircraft with 1.5 inches per minute. You don't see it move. If you take a time lapse, you will see it move. It was a huge investment, but the consequence of it was that they really took this flow principle serious. And now they had to think about everything. So every supplier that told them it was not possible, they told, listen guys, if we can pull an airplane through our factory in 8 days, you should be able to bring this screw or whatever, bolt or nut, into the same moment at the point where we need it. So think about it, how you're going to do it. Present us your plan. If you need help, we will send you an idea. So this is the consequence of having this true north. And coming back to how important this is. I'll challenge you again from this point, specifically the decision makers here. And please prove that I'm wrong. But every time that I'm talking to decision makers, CEOs, I'm asking them, so what is your company going to look like in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? What's happening? They tell me stories. Stories like, well, in 5 years, we are the #1 in our industry. Okay, what does it look like? What does it look like to be the #1? If I'm coming here in 5 years, what do I see? What is the first thing I notice that's different? Nothing. There's nothing coming. So if you're having a true north, if you're having a vision about what your company looks like in 3 or 5 years, you can tell me immediately, Mr. Koch, if you come here in 5 years, the first thing you will notice when you drive up this street, you will see. And then when you come in, you will feel. When you go through, when you speak to our people, they will tell you. So this is the type of things that we are talking about. If I go down to the OEE level, same story. If I'm talking to operators, I always do that. Yesterday when we walked around, I always start to talk to people and ask them questions. And from these questions, I can hear whether there is somebody in the top who is having an idea of true north. Because this true north idea is being translated to every person in the company. So when implementing OEE, when we tell them every loss should be visible, I want to hear that. And I want to see that in flow that's being created. And I want to see that it is really taken serious. So that means if I have a flow and I have an idea about having quality going on, that means that the flow will also stop. So at the point something goes wrong, this line at Boeing is stopped. Can you imagine 6,000 people working in the line? And they simply stop the process. If you go to Durban, to the Toyota factory, if something goes wrong, they pull a line and they stop the process. Even if that's a €2 billion line. The simple operator just pulls the plug and stops the process. To prevent that the flow is going to be disastrous. Because what do you want to do if this plane has some faults in it? You can't repair that later on. You can't open it again. You have to make it when it's being built. Same for cars.